Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in this world. God bless you. This is Gloria White coming to you from Utah, USA. Today we're going to be in the King James Version of the Holy Bible. We are in the New Testament in the book of Mark, chapter 12. And he began to speak unto them by parables. A certain man planted a vineyard, and set an hedge about it, and digged a place for the wine fat, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen, and went into a far country. And at the season he sent to the husbandman a servant, that he might receive from the husbandmen of the fruit of the vineyard. And they caught him, and beat him, and sent him away empty. And again he sent unto them another servant, and at him they cast stones, and wounded him in the head, and sent him away shamefully handled. And again he sent another, and him they killed, and many others, beating some and killing some. Having yet therefore one son, well beloved, his well beloved, he sent him also last unto them, saying, They will reverence my son. But those husbandmen said among themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and the inheritance shall be ours. And they took him, and killed him, and cast him out of the vineyard. What shall therefore the Lord of the vineyard do? He will come and destroy the husbandmen, and will give the vineyard unto others. Now here in verse 10 is a unfulfilled prophecy. And have ye not read this scripture? And this is in all caps. The stone which the builders rejected is become the head of the corner, or the chief cornerstone. Verse 11 continues in all caps. This was the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. It's a question mark there. Verse 12. And they sought to lay hold on him, but feared the people, for they knew that he had spoken the parable against them. And they left him, and went their way. And they sent unto him certain of the scribes, and set of the Herodians, to catch him in his words. And when they were come, they say unto him, Master, we know that thou art true, and carest for no man, for thou regardest not the person of men, but teacheth the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar, or not? Shall we give, or shall we not give? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said unto them, Why tempt ye me? Bring me a penny, that I may see it. And they brought it. And he saith unto them, Whose is this image and superscription? And they said unto him, Caesar's. And Jesus answering said unto them, Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. And they marveled at him. Then come unto him the Sadducees, which say there is no resurrection. And they asked him, saying, Master, Moses wrote unto us, If a man's brother die, and leave his wife behind him, and leave no children, that his brother should take his wife, and raise up seed unto his brother. Now there were 7 brethren, and the first took a wife, and dying left no seed. The second took her, and died, neither left he any seed. And the third likewise, and the 7 had her, and left no seed. Last of all, the woman died also. In the resurrection, therefore, when they shall rise, whose wife shall she be of them? For the 7 had her to wife. And Jesus answering said unto them, Do ye not therefore err? Because ye know not the Scriptures, neither the power of God? For when they shall rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels which are in heaven. And as touching the dead, that they rise, Have ye not read in the book of Moses, how in the bush God spake unto him, saying," and this is in all caps, "I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. Ye therefore do greatly err." And one of the scribes came, and having heard them reasoning together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, "Which is the first commandment of all?" And Jesus answered him, "The first of all the commandments is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment." And that you can find, if you want to ever refer to that, that is in the book of Mark, chapter 12, verse 30. That's 29 and 30. "And the second is namely this, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these." Because our God is a God of love. That's why these are so important. This is what he wants us to be, more like him, more loving. And the scribe said unto him, "Well, master, thou hast said the truth, for there is one God, and there is none other but he. And to love him with all the heart, and with all the understanding, and with all the soul, and with all the strength, and to love his neighbor as himself, is more than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices." And when Jesus saw that he answered discreetly, he said unto him, "Thou art not far from the kingdom of God." And no man after that durst ask him any question. And Jesus answered and said, while he taught in the temple, "How say the scribes that Christ is the son of David?" And this verse 36 is an unfulfilled prophecy, and it says, "For David himself said by the Holy Ghost," and this is in all caps, "The Lord said to my Lord, Sit thou on my right hand, till I make thine enemies thy footstool." Verse 37, "And David therefore called himself," verse 37, "David therefore himself calleth him Lord, and the whence he then his son. And the common people heard him gladly. And he said unto them in his doctrine, Beware of the scribes which love to go in long clothing, and love salutations in the marketplaces, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and the uppermost rooms at feast, which devour widows' houses, and for a great pretense make long prayers. These shall receive greater damnation." And Jesus sat over against the treasury. He sat. And Jesus sat over against the treasury, and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. But there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites. And a mite is a small copper coin, which make a farthing. And that's a Roman coin. And he called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, Verily, I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For they did cast in of their abundance, because they had so much, but they didn't cast it all in. But she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. Our God is always teaching us. He's always preparing us to stand for him. He's reasoning these parables, he's reasoning things out. So if we're paying attention, he sees where, okay, so he made this vineyard. He's talking about his father. And then the father sent the prophets. All the servants that were sent were the prophets. And then he sent his son, and they killed him too. And so when the Lord came, he said, I'm going to wipe them all out, and I'm going to take my vineyard and give it to somebody else who deserves it. And then he distinguishes between what's God and what's Caesar's. What belongs in this world and what belongs to God. Then there was the confusion that they were trying to trick him or trip him up. So whose wife will she be? And he says, well, you err, because in heaven they will be as the angels. Then there is no marriage. This is the thing, if you think about this, that for when they shall rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels which are in heaven. Now the angels, see, they are in heaven and they don't marry. So when those angels, those fallen angels, saw the daughters of men, that they were comely, and they came down and they took all that they wanted for wives, they broke the law. They broke God's law, because the angels in heaven don't marry. They don't have wives. So there we see that, wow, well, that's what the fallen angels did. They came down and took earthly wives. He is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. Ye therefore do greatly err. And then the greatest commandment. And then the second is like it. Our God is all about love. Everything is love. Love your neighbor. If you love your neighbor, you won't steal from him. If you love your neighbor, you won't bear false witness against him. If you love your neighbor, you won't take his husband or his wife. If you love your neighbor, you won't covet what belongs to him. All of these things are if you love. By loving someone, you keep all the commandments. By loving, you keep the commandments. And Jesus answered and said while he taught in the temple, how say the scribes that Christ is the son of David? And then he warned about the false prophets, the ones that are out there standing in the middle of the street praying so everybody can see them. And oh, how holy they look. They look holy. But if they were truly holy, they wouldn't be standing praying in the middle of the street and wearing clothes that draws men attention to them, instead of drawing men's attention to God. But we see lots of false prophets. We see a lot of them on the internet, and they're all about me, 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 me. You know, and oh, here's my PayPal, and here's my GoFundMe, and here's my, send me all your money, send me all your money. Well, what did God say? It says the workman is worthy of his wages. But I'd rather have my wages in heaven sitting up there waiting on me, where neither rust nor moth or dust destroy it. That's where you should put your treasures, in heaven. But we see he's constantly showing us and telling us in these scriptures with every one of his words, and none were wasted. All for our benefit. All to help us be better, to be more loving and kind, and to show us the direction in which we should travel. Oh, well, we'll be in chapter 13 tomorrow, God willing. And there's only 16 chapters, if I remember correctly, in the book of Mark. So, yeah. So we're almost done with the book of Mark. And if you have suggestions or a desire for us to go through a certain book, please put it in the description down below, and we'll certainly do that. And as always, I love you. And you might see hair on my shirt, and it's because Annie has gone into her shedding mode. Oh, there's going to be dog hair like everywhere. I mean, it's like crazy. Her hair is so fine. It gets in your eyes, it gets on your nose, it's like in your salad or whatever. I mean, it's impossible to keep up with all of it. And I'm brushing her, and as I'm brushing her, it's just so much hair getting in the brush and flying in the air. It's like, oh my goodness. And one time she had started shedding, and anyway, my daughter wanted to go pick up one of my grandsons, and she asked me if I wanted to go with her, and so Annie and I hopped in the van and off we went. And the next thing you know, then we're not just going there, we're going somewhere else and somewhere else. And Annie really doesn't like riding in a car. Well, anyway, she got, upset. And I don't know why it happened, but just I can tell you what was going on when it happened. And she like blew up the hair. Her hair was like all over the van, inside the van, and everybody was like, going like this because the dog hair is like everywhere. And so when we got to my daughter's, I took her straight through the house out into the backyard on the patio, and I asked my grandson to bring me the dog brush, and I started brushing her. Oh my goodness, there was so much hair. It was just brushfuls of hair. And then I told him, I said, can you just get me the dog shampoo? And I turned the hose on and washed her, and there was so much hair. I mean, it was just crazy. I've never seen, there's like 3 dogs or 4 dogs you could have made out of all that hair. And so anyway, it's twice a year she sheds, and then it's just this hairball. The whole house turns into a hairball that I just cannot, I tell you, the older I get, the harder it's getting to pick up. And I'm thinking, should I shave her? Nah, it's going to be too cold to shave her. Well, here we go with the hair. So, anyway, just something I have to deal with. And my girl. And then her coat is so soft and fresh and new. So pretty when it's done. But, oh my goodness, it's a terror while it's happening. Anyway, guys, I love you guys so much. Thank you for your prayers from my shoulder and from my friend's foot with the spider bite. One of the puncture wounds isn't as big, swollen up with the big like pussy thing as the other one. But if you guys could please keep lifting her up and lifting my shoulder up to the Lord, that would be absolutely wonderful. Now, I have an appointment with a orthopedic surgeon to go and see about my shoulder. I don't know what's happening at my primary care doctor's office, because I went there on like the 6th of this January, and I'm still waiting to find out if he's talked to the other doctor who is going to put shots in my shoulder and maybe one in my hip. Anyway, it's just been crazy because they gave him a new medical assistant, and then they gave him another medical assistant, and the one medical assistant that they gave him was like, oh wow, really? So I went in and I talked to the doctor and I said, I've been coming here for 15 years and I've never had a problem with anybody in your office. And I said, but this lady, and I told on her, and I'm not a tattletale by heart or by personal nature. I just will let you just keep running, You'll trip yourself up sooner or later when you're like that. But I thought, if she's doing me like this, how many other people is she mistreating? And that's not good. And he's a good doctor and doesn't deserve to have somebody working under him that had the nature that she has. And so, anyway, I'm happy that my shoulder, I can tell you, it feels a little better today. So the prayers are working, and I appreciate that, and I love each and every one of you. And I have now this is how it is. It's like, okay, there's a little hair on my nose somewhere on my face, and it's like you can't really just brush it off. It just moves from like one place to the other, and you can't get it off of you. My clothes are covered up in dog hair. Oh my gosh, I started trying to brush her, and oh my goodness, she comes and sits down between my knees here, so I can reach her, and while I'm brushing her, all of a sudden I noticed that when she moved, I had brushed all her hair onto my pants. They looked like hairy pants. Oh my goodness. I'm like, oh man, this is such a nightmare. Ugh. So anyway, if you guys see me doing this in the next 2 weeks, you'll know why. That I'm trying to get the hair off of me. Anyway, guys, I love you guys. Be good. Be kind to one another. It doesn't cost anything to be kind. And you just never know what somebody's going through. What's been going on in their life, what they're dealing with, It's always a good idea to look down and just take a look at somebody's shoes and think, could I walk a mile in their shoes? How would I act? How would I feel? How would I be? If I was in their shoes. You don't know what people are dealing with. You don't know where they've been, what they've run into that day, what's been going on all week or all month, and what they've been dealing with day after day that nobody even knows anything about because they keep it to themselves. And a kind word or a compliment or just opening the door or helping somebody pick something up that they dropped. I mean, showing kindness, it doesn't cost anything to be kind. So be kind to one another and love each other. God said to me to tell you guys, I said I will tell them. He wants us to be more like him. Just look how he is. So wonderful. And as always, I love you.